Let's continue on. The phrase, hide my face, in connection with the wrath of God means withdrawal, abandonment. God is not with us. Then external powers come in and hammer you. That's what it means. We've seen this again and again, and I'm going to give you a number of illustrations so that you know for sure that I'm not stretching things here. This is a biblical principle. Let's have a look at the Babylonian captivity when Israel worshipped other gods and then they went into captivity into Babylon. Okay? Have a look at God's wrath. Look at the language about him attacking and him withdrawing. It's both there again. Jeremiah 21:5, English Standard Version. I myself will fight against you. Well, that's pretty direct. God's the direct active agent of violence until, let's keep reading. I myself will fight against you with an outstretched hand and strong arm, in anger and in fury and in great wrath. I'm going to attack you personally, directly. But chapter 33, verse 5 says something else. Israel are coming in to fight against the Chaldeans, the Babylonians, and to fill them with the dead bodies of men whom I shall strike down. I will strike down in my anger and my wrath. How does he do it? For I have hidden my face. I will strike down in my anger and wrath because I've hidden my face. I'm going to attack because I've withdrawn. I'm going to attack because I've withdrawn. But who's going to attack? The Chaldeans, the Babylonians, not God. Not God. He's going to say, you're dead meat. The Babylonians are going to come in and hammer you. What God allows to happen because they worshipped other gods, he allows the Babylonians to come in and strike them, is described as him doing. I will attack because I have withdrawn. It's attributed to God because what God allows is described as him actively doing. That's the ancient world view. Look at the New Living Translation of this same verse. It's even clearer. You expect to fight the Babylonians, talking to his people, but the men of this city are already as good as dead. For I have determined to destroy them in my terrible anger. Looks like God's the direct active agent of violence. I have abandoned them. Instead of saying I hid my face, I have abandoned them. He's pulled back. Our God is not among us. That's the blueprint of Deuteronomy 31. And all this stuff comes upon us because God in his anger has pulled back. God did it. The Babylonians did it. Yes, what God allows is described as him actively doing. The Babylonians killed them, not God. What God allows, his anger, is described as him hiding his face, as abandoning. What God allows is described as him actively doing because he's the creator. The buck stops with him. Let's keep looking at the Babylonian captivity. Ezekiel says the same dual dynamic. First, active wrath. Ezekiel 21:3, English Standard Version. Listen. Thus says the Lord, behold, I am against you, God's people, and will draw my sword. Come on. Has God got a sheath and a sword? Symbolic. And I will draw my sword, but he still looks like he's the direct active agent of violence. From its sheath, I will cut off from you both righteous and wicked. There you go. Anger, wrath of God. He is the direct active agent of violence. I will do this. I will do this. I will do this. I will send a flood. Oops. No, yeah, I'm not going to go there. That's exactly where I'm going to go. It's symbolic language of what he allows. We're going to see that God will hide his face at the flood. It's coming. Now we'll read a divine withdrawal in Ezekiel. First, I'm going to do this. Okay? But then chapter 39, 23 and 24, we read this, how he actually did it. And the nations will know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they dealt so treacherously with me that I hid my face from them and gave them over to the hands of their enemies, and they fell by the swords. I dealt with them according to their uncleanness and their transgressions, and I hid my face from them. Whoa, I'm going to do it. How? The Chaldeans, the Babylonians are going to come back. I'm going to do it through my wrath. I'm going to strike you with the sword. Now they're going to strike you with the sword. And I'm going to pull back. What God allows is described as him actively doing. He hid his face. To hide your face means I do nothing. I pull back. But it says you're going to do it. No, but the Babylonians do it. That's right. What God allows is described as him actively doing because he's the creator. Isaiah 45:7 says that. I do all these things because I'm the creator. This is not the worldview of Jesus. Okay? We will get to that. What we're seeing here is God is not described as violent in the Old Testament, ever. The wrath of God is always connected with God withdrawing, hiding his face, abandoning, stepping back, pulling back. They say God's not with us. That's why it's happened, because God's released his wrath. They knew that God is not violent, but it's attributed to him because he's the creator. This is good stuff, eh? Let's have a look at what Isaiah says about the Babylonian captivity. First, God is active. Isaiah 63:6, English Standard Version. I trampled down the peoples in my anger. Here you go. He's doing it again. I made them drunk in my wrath. See? He's angry. He's directly angry, directly violent. I poured out their lifeblood on the earth. Huh? God did it? The Babylonians did it. God is described as the direct, active agent of violence until we have a look at chapter 64, verse 7, which is the same passage. There's no chapter and verse titles in the Bible. We added that in. If you just keep reading, you'll hit chapter 64, verse 7, where I'm going to shed your blood becomes this. Isaiah 64:7, ESV. There is no one who calls upon your name, who rouses himself to take hold of you, the captives. For you have hidden your face from us. Well, come on. You're going to shed their blood. You're going to do it by withdrawing. Yes, the Babylonians did it. The Babylonians did it. For you have hidden your face. You have withdrawn and have made us melt in the hands of our own sins. There you go. Sins have consequences. They sold out to the Babylonians, went to join with them, wanted to make an alliance with them, worshipped their gods. And then what happens? God says, do as you want. I won't coerce you. I won't force you. In my anger, I'm going to strike you. How? By stepping back. The Babylonians are going to do it. And what I allow is described as me doing. That's the Old Testament point of view. When God hides his face, according to Deuteronomy 31, and I've said this again and again and again, Israel says God's not with us. Well, if he's not with us and he's watching what's going on, how can he be striking if he's not there? This was a figure of speech, folks. How many verses do we want? Okay, and then verse 18 of chapter 63 tells us that this attack happened from the enemies, not God. 63:18, English Standard Version. Your holy people held possession for a little while. They resisted the Babylonian armies, but our adversaries have trampled down your sanctuary. Who trampled down? The enemies. But God said he's going to do it. That's right. He's going to hide his face. Yes. The enemies did it. Yes, yes, yes. What God allows is described as him actively doing because he's sovereign. He's the creator. That's the Old Testament ancient Hebrew worldview. God is not violent, even though it's described as such. It's attributed to him because he is sovereign in the ancient Jewish world view. So, in conclusion, what have we seen? God's wrath works one way in that day. Deuteronomy 31:16-17. Every time they go to worship other gods, in that day, he pours out his wrath, he hides his face, he withdraws, he abandons, and Israel will say every single time they knew God is not among us. But it's attributed to him because he's the creator of heaven and earth. And the buck stops with him. We are now ready to have a look at the flood. Does the Bible ever say that the flood, which was the wrath of God, was it him hiding his face? Well, if it was, then we got it wrong. Next time.